I talked. I When I was cast as Jedi Bob, I got to talk to Dan and Benji, the creators of this series, all about building this character and kind of what they saw for it and what I saw for it, and what we ended up on, or at least what I ended up on in my mind, is sort of a mix between Obi-Wan Kenobi and Qui-Gon Jinn, if they were Danny Glover from Lethal Weapon, like they and I think I very much improvised. I'm getting too old for this ship, SHIP, every single time I was on a Star Wars ship, and I don't think it made it. You see, do you remember when like the Muppets would do Star Wars, or like the Muppets Treasure Island? Like I love the idea of cross genre, cross genre. IPs kind of getting together and just doing that. And also just it's fun to see all of our favorite Star Wars characters in a brand new way. I would watch an entire series of Jedi Darth Vader. It's the coolest. Like he's the best. He's just misunderstood. I don't want to be a Darth Vader apologist right now, so I'm going to stop my answer. But that was I was just trying a Jedi who tries really hard to sound like a Jedi. But isn't great at it. That's what I tried to do.
So what is Jedi Bob up to in this show? And can you talk about his relationship with Sig?
What is Jedi Bob up to in this series? I'm guessing about an inch and a half, probably. But for a real answer, Jedi Bob is up to what he does best, saving galaxies and rebuilding them from the start.
What did you know about Jedi Bob and his history in the playsets when you took on the role?
I knew a lot about the history of Jedi Bob and kind of the playset before I got the role. I had this because I'm the coolest adult in the world. I had this before you did, I'll tell you that. I knew all about it. I like to collect things, and in the collector world, that was a fun story of just like this thing that they released that was kind of just to release something that the fans turned into now something I'm doing interviews about, and it's pretty cool to see that to fruition from start to be as being a fan of it, and now being able to say like I'm Jedi Bob. I'm that guy that was just hanging around, and now he's part of it. It's kind of my whole career.
Can you tell us about the origins of Jedi Bob's full name and how that might be a nod to Lego?
Yes, I can tell you about the origins of Jedi Bob's full name for $1 trillion. The origins of Jedi Bob's name. His full name, if you were to refer to him as requested, would be Jedi Master Barbarian Afol.
Bobby, tell us, as a Star Wars fan and a Lego collector, what was it like to work on a project that combined those two interests, and what was the most fun for you about that?
As a fan of both Lego and Star Wars, growing up and as a full-blown adult, I love the idea. Like the whole concept of this show is like mix everything up and play with it together. I love that. I've always loved that. No, he's being Jedi Bob's journey is kind of becoming what he never wanted to be, which is responsible. I think for another person. He has some trauma in the past. What happened to him to become a Jedi? So the last thing he wants to do is pass that on to Sig, who is this kind of kid who he maybe sees some of himself in, who's gotten himself into this predicament and is trying to just do his best, kind of like Jedi Bob. So maybe that bit of Jedi Bob, the dad in him, or the father figure, or the Padawan to what would you call the? I mean, I guess Master. Yeah, thank you.
Last one. What do you hope fans get out of Lego Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy?
What do I hope Lego fans and Star Wars fans get out of this show, Rebuild the Galaxy? Joy. I hope they get the joy that they got when they play with Lego or when they watch Star Wars. And I hope that it's doubled on top of itself because of the combination of the two. It's like having ice cream and a milkshake. Well, I guess that's the same thing. It's kind of like having a birthday cake and no, that's not, or a pie on a birthday. It's a pie on a birthday cake.
What's your favorite character mashup in the whole special?
My favorite character mashup in the whole special, gosh, it changes minute to minute. It was Beach Luke. It still is Beach Luke. It will always be Beach Luke. But I'm gonna tell you more anyway. I just love that Mark Hamill is so funny in this role. He's so good. Ahmed Best coming back to do Darth Jar Jar is absolutely amazing. I personally really like some of the little side guys. Like we got a little Darth Nubs in the background, and the way that Darth Maul is in this mixed up world. He is not just an evil Sisyphus. He is like just a gentleman, and I just really enjoy that. Gosh, there's so many. I truly love them all. I also can't wait to see it again because I'm gonna watch it 1,000 times. So ask me this again in 2 weeks. Thank you.
What are the characters does Jedi Bob have the most interaction with? Okay. And is he affected by the galactic mix-up?
Thank you. Jedi Bob has interaction the most with, I would say, Sig and Servo, his droid, who gets on his nerves a lot. And everyone gets on Jedi Bob's nerves at some point. But yeah, kind of that core crew, Yessie and everybody, they're on the mission to go rebuild the galaxy. I get to do a lot of stuff with them. I get to do a little bit with Mark Hamill and as Beach Luke and Ahmed Best as Darth Jar Jar. It's the best. Fight Darth Jar Jar in a Lego movie if you can. It's really fun.
And I think that's where the love of the show comes in. I think it's where the love of the character and everything he loves feels real, is because there's so much love around this project. There's so everybody who's a part of it is so honored to be doing it and is over the moon to be a part of the Star Wars universe in context of something so brilliant like this. I'm just so ever so grateful, and that I think translates into what's on the page and what I tried to give, because as I think I'm just as grateful to be on this journey as Sig is to be on his.
What was your experience like working with writers Dan and Benji and director Chris?
Yeah, they're a really collaborative trio. I think what's so good is they complement each other so well. Dan's always really, really good it's been really, really fun getting to know them really well. And I've never had a dynamic or relationship with writers of a show, specifically in Dan and Benji's case, of a rapport enough where I can text them and be like, what do you think of this? Or this is, I remember, I just never felt comfortable enough to make suggestions or riff with the script. And they were always super excited about the opportunity to improv some things in if their other scene around it hadn't been recorded yet, and that's really rare. And even if these things don't make the cut, it makes a really trusting, it facilitates a really trusting environment, and At least I can't speak for anybody else, but that's something I've always really, really respected about them, and it made a really fun shoot.
All right, what was your favorite character mashup in the special? And that's for everyone.
I really did love, I've said it before, but I think that just even if it's as a bit, the Greedo Han Leia love triangle is really freaking funny. I think that's just genius. I think Beach Bum Luke is just ridiculous as a concept and so funny. Like this day drinking loser who just like gambles it's hilarious. Like, and I'm sure that Mark had a lot of fun playing it. I'm so excited to hear what he did with it. I've heard like little snippets here and there, but yeah, particularly I'm very excited to hear all of our voices paired up alongside Mark's, which is kind of bizarre to even conceive that that's gonna happen. Like giving you the world through his own performances with the other characters and stuff, and helping you kind of get into a really great zone and safe space with that. Super enthusiastic when helping you and bouncing back and forth. I can imagine how exhausting that is doing that with every cast member that's there. And Benji has there's this odd couple vibe of like they completely complement each other in completely different ways, where Benji will just like cut and be like, yeah, but let's keep this in mind, and like centers things really, really well, and has a really good relationship with understanding like the visual world that they're creating and giving you references as to what the environment might be like and how it is you might be able to bring something new out. And like Tony was saying, that Chris is such a great macro sense of the excitement of building this world, literally through like building blocks and Legos, building this world together, and letting it all melt into one really cool project.
All right, first question. Gaten, your character, Sig, is the hero of the story. Tell us a little bit about his journey.
Oh, Sig's just a little small town kid. He's just super content in his situation and loves his life, loves his family, loves his brother, loves his friends, loves the legends of Star Wars past, and he gets swept away on a journey when he accidentally runs across an ancient Jedi temple, which is then revealed that all the stories he knows and loves are true, and he accidentally removes a cornerstone piece that is integral to the structure of the galaxy. And upon removing it, it shuffles up, and he finds himself on the journey to try to reverse its effects, as well as becoming a Jedi Knight.
And Gaten and Marseille, how did you approach voicing your characters and finding their personas?
Yeah, I think what I felt very fortunate about is that Dan and Benji wrote down a pretty incredibly developed guy to initially jump into. There was like any questions I had, they had answers, and that was really, really refreshing and really easy. But also they were very adamant about making sure that it felt spontaneous, and they let me fill in the blanks. I felt comfortable making suggestions and asking about line reads and little interjections. And I'm such a Star Wars fan, along with Sig specifically, that I felt comfortable enough to like put my own little references in every now and again, just for fun. Most of these are for sure not even going to make the cut, but being able to just have fun, and it was so freeing and exciting, and it did not take long for it to feel like home.
They're so funny and they're exciting, and they make you feel very comfortable for sure. So I always knew I was safe and protected in this space to really just do what I had to do.
All right, what was your favorite character mashup in the special?
That's what I love about all these. Like Darth Jar Jar is probably the funniest one for me, but also too, I love when projects feel like fan fiction. Like you just never think they're gonna happen, but then it just pops up out of nowhere. It's like, wait, this is a real thing? Like, wait, what? Yeah. So for that to be the case is gonna be very surprising and exciting for viewers for sure.
What can fans expect when they watch Lego Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy?
It's filled with adventure and action, and there's always something going on. It's not one of them things that's like a period of scenes that just are like no, there's always something happening. Which I believe people will find excitement in, and I am beyond grateful to be a part of a franchise that it keeps the stakes get higher, regardless if you're Lego or in live action. So it's really, really fun. You know, I always come into a different project with just an open book and talking to the creators of it all, and being able to go back and forth and collab on it. So what I did know about Yessie was that she's a super confident, ready for a challenge, fast-paced girl, and that's all I need to know. And we just went for it.
What was your experience like working with writers Dan and Benji and director Chris?
I'm a person that energy matches with energy, so to have them really be excited for every episode coming into it, it made me even more excited because I'm like, okay, like I want to make them proud. I want to make them excited to go back and mush all of the things that we created and putting it together. And yeah, I mean, obviously, I mean, the first time you go into a new project like this, it could feel a little nerve-wracking or very intimidating to be like, all right, I want to make sure my voice aligns with what they saw in the character, and they just made it such a fun and collaborative and creative experience.
Marseille, describe your Yessie, sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that, Yessie Scala in her life when we first meet her, and what happens when she gets caught up and twisted in the twisted version of the galaxy.
Yes, well, Yessie Scala is a pilot looking to leave the thing that she's known for so long, which is her home planet, which is where her father is, Farmer Scala, and that is where she finds these nerf herders on her father's farm. And really, in the beginning, she's very guarded. You know, she's always on 10 toes down, making sure everything is good. And then she gets caught up in this twisted, insane version of the galaxy, and agrees to go on this super big adventure with Sig and Jedi Bob to try to restore the galaxy. And in this world, you see her feeling all types of different emotions. You see her nervous, you see her excited, you see her just ready for the challenge that she's been looking for all her life. And throughout this time, you kind of just see her form into the leader that she hopes to be. So.
Okay. And Gaten and Marseille, how did you approach voicing your characters and finding their personas?
Want to go first, Marseille?
Oh yeah. How did I find it? Well, honestly, it was like a clean slate for me. It was a learning process that I was fully an open book for. I know Yessie is a new character in this universe, so I wanted to talk to Dan and Benji like directly and see like how they were feeling and where they saw her character going and how she starts and where she ends up going. And that's really what I thrive on, is seeing really the beginning and roughly what the end is going to turn out to be, to see what that transition and that challenge is throughout. Even though it's voiceover, you want to resonate that within the voice of your character and the passion that is behind it. And that was pretty much it.
It was in 2022, and it's such like imposter syndrome about it because I'm like the biggest Star Wars fan in the world. So when they asked me to be a part of it, it was an absolute no-brainer. But I assumed it was like the tiniest role in the world, and then I just kept reading the script, and I was like, oh, he's in more and more. And I'm like, oh, cool. And yeah, it was an absolute blast. And at the time, I didn't know anybody else was attached, so I would learn that like later that like Ahmed would join, and when Mark was announced, it was just like us being a bunch of nerds in the booth, like getting so excited and jumping up and down like crazy. It was so great. I'm like through and through one of the biggest Star Wars fans I've ever met, and we're notoriously hard to please. So it's like a really cool, like fresh new take that's low stakes and fun, and just reminds people of like why we love Star Wars. And it's just goofy and great, such a cool cast, and it's fresh and fun. I like it a lot.
It's about Dev and how his dynamic with his brother changes in the story.
Dev is his cooler older brother. Dev is his cooler older brother, who honestly is just wanting to change his life up. He wants to escape his small little town, and he's ready for big movements, big changes. And when he finds out his younger brother can use the Force, he's the most excited about it more than anyone, more than Sig himself.
More than Sig.
And when the cornerstone gets removed and the galaxy rearranges itself, and he comes back as Darth Devastator, a Sith Lord who's forgotten all about his brother, he goes through a journey trying to capture Sig, while Sig's, trying to capture his brother back. And it's a wonderful story where he's got to change and figure out whether he wants Sig for the cornerstone or Sig as a brother.
How did you approach voicing Dev and then his mashup, Darth Devastator?
Yeah, I approached it trying to be as cool as I possibly could, which is not that cool, but I tried anyway.
I don't know, man.
So hopefully, they did make a really, really handsome minifig. So but yeah, Dev's just a cool older brother, and as someone who is both a younger and older brother, I have a cool older brother that I love, and I like to think that I'm a cool older brother to my youngest. So I kind of just brought that to the table, and then as for the development into Darth Devastator, I really kind of just went into it with Dan and Benji and Chris and kind of the team, and we're taking it in strides and constantly making changes and arrangements, because it was such a huge shift and change, and it needed to constantly morph, and it still did. Even after we did our initial scratch records, we would come back and have different reads and different things, or we wanted a little bit more emotional or maybe a little bit more angry on certain things, and we're constantly shifting. So I think it was a constant development. I don't think I ever had one set plan, and neither did they. And I think that collaboration really kind of developed, so that way we could just constantly find what needed to happen with Darth Dev.
All right, this next question is for everyone. What was your experience like working with writers Dan and Benji and director Chris?
Working with the IP whisperers, Dan Hernandez and Benji Samit, were incredible. They are so much fun. Dan honestly was always, there in the booth reading, whether it be Jedi Bob's lines or Sig's lines, since obviously I didn't get a chance to work with all of this team together all in one go. He was able to read, and certainly he gave it 110% even on those reads, and made me want to give so much more. And whenever we were stuck with certain issues or lines weren't working or something just wasn't fitting, Benji swooped in like the hero he was with a great different line or whatever it might have been, and that was awesome. And Chris was constantly figuring out which takes, constantly going, that one's going to match really well with Gaten's this and that. So I think he had an amazing macro view of what was happening, and taking that into consideration with everything else, or being like, Tony, you're about to get slammed into a wall, so like give me a hard hit. And it was great direction, and honestly it was just a blast to work with them.
All right, what was your favorite character mashup in the special?
Darth Jar Jar to me is just hilarious. I was the guy on those YouTube videos and Reddit forums.
I believed it.
I want it.
I wanted it so much fun.
And the fact that they were able to do it, like, honestly, that's the funnest one for me. And then Jedi Darth Vader, or Jedi Vader, which I think is really funny because he still got burned. Like,
he did. What happened?
He still got burned.
He still got burned. He's still in the suit.
He's still in the suit.
Why? That's so funny. I never thought.
Yeah.
What can fans expect when they watch Lego Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy? And that's for everyone as well.
Fun. They can expect fun, because we had fun doing it. They had fun writing it. Chris had fun directing it. So we hope and we know that the fans are just going to enjoy it, that they're going to find it so funny, and hopefully have fun like we did.
All right, Chris.
Realizing everything that we had always wanted to accomplish in our career, which was telling a true Star Wars story. And yes, it's Lego Star Wars, and that means that there's a certain tone comedically, and that we can poke a little bit of fun at ourselves. But it was very important to both of us to say, but it only is going to be meaningful if the story that we're telling has a point, and if it feels like all of the Star Wars stories that we love, that it has those classic moments of talking about the nature of the Force, the dark side and the light, a protagonist who finds his strength in an unexpected way, an unlikely cast of characters who lend a hand, and a fight worth having to save the galaxy. And so that to us was the most rewarding part, is to really feel like we got to tell the story that we wanted to tell, and that it's spiritually aligned with all the things that have inspired us over the years.
Great. Okay. What are some of the core Star Wars themes that we may see in this animated special?
We tried to throw a little bit of everything in there. You know, we're big fans of everything Star Wars, everything Lego Star Wars, and so, you know, whether it's original trilogy, prequels, sequels, the TV shows, every animated stuff, we wanted this to be, you know, as I said, like a true celebration of all things Lego Star Wars. So, you know, there's definitely a little bit of everything that you know and love in there, with plenty of surprises too.
I think that when you're talking about Star Wars, you need to kind of understand what is powerful about it. And to me, what has always been powerful about it is this idea of the interconnectivity of all life and all people and things. The Force is really where everything for me begins with Star Wars, and how you think about telling a Star Wars story. And outcropping from that is the light side and the dark side, and our own kind of decision making based around which way are we going to go in our own lives. Everyone has the capacity for both.
First question: how did the idea for Lego Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy originate?
So this sort of came about. We've been talking to Lucasfilm and Lego for a little while. We helped out with we did some punch-up jokes for the original Lego holiday special. And so we had an open line of communication with them, and then it was approaching, you know, this year is the 25th anniversary of the Lego Star Wars partnership, which is such an iconic brand partnership, and they wanted to do something big and special to celebrate that. And so we started talking about how can we celebrate all things Lego Star Wars. And well, what we all quickly came to was this idea of, well, let's try recreating that feeling that you get from playing with your Star Wars Lego, like the way a kid or an adult, honestly, plays with Star Wars Lego. Is they take their bin of Lego and they dump it on the ground, and it's pieces everywhere, and you don't follow the story exactly as it is in the script. You start to make it your own galaxy. You rebuild things. You mix up ships. You mix up characters. You make your own story. And so that was the jumping off point for us to make our own story in the Lego Star Wars universe.
Great. Okay. Number 2. You are both Star Wars fans, so what did it mean to you to get a chance to work on this with Lucasfilm?
I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that it's the realization of a lifelong dream, but a dream that felt impossible, a dream that felt like it was for other people. And suddenly we found ourselves one path is easier, it's seductive, it seems to give you everything that you want, and the other is more difficult, it's more subtle, and it doesn't necessarily tell you what to do or how to do it. You kind of have to follow, as we say in the special, the whisper in the back of your mind. And that was a very important thing to carry through, and I think that really informs everything about some of the other classic themes that you're going to see. People that you wouldn't expect to come through find heroism within themselves. People that could have been great heroes falling into darkness because of their own pain or desire or the insecurities that rest within them, and really exploring all of those classic Star Wars dilemmas, but while still doing it with humor and in this sort of unexpected delivery system. But all of those classic things are still embedded firmly in the heart of this special.
Cool. All right. How did you come up with the galactic shakeup idea, and how did you approach putting it on the page?
So that was something that we very early on in conversation with Lego and Lucasfilm came to together, that we said, why don't we try to do something completely different than anything that has been attempted in Lego Star Wars, or even really in sort of the core Star Wars lines, and reimagining what some of these characters are like. Bad guys are good guys are bad guys, planets are different, ships are different. So that idea came very early, but what was more challenging was how to actually articulate that idea on the page, and even more than on the page, visually. So the sequence where the galaxy is actually rebuilt in the first episode after Sig removes the cornerstone from its resting place was the sequence that probably took the most time in the entire special, because it had to be exactly right. Everything else in the special was resting on this very big sequence that sort of was unprecedented in the history of Star Wars. There really isn't anything exactly equivalent to it. And so it was a process of writing and rewriting and iterating visually. And when we finally locked in on Jedi Bob's narration over that scene, which Bobby Moynihan, I have to say, absolutely just crushes. He does such an amazing job of delivering this information that is critical for everyone watching the show, but it's really emotional. It gives me goosebumps every time I watch it, because his performance is so filled with emotion, and it's so moving, and it's playing on all the things that we know about our proper Star Wars galaxy, and suddenly we're somewhere else completely. So that sequence in particular was the most poured over, not only by us, but by Chris Buckley, our incredible director, by the team at Atomic Cartoons, by Lego itself. Everyone really had to pull together and figure out how to articulate this sequence so that the rest of the specials could soar, because it needed this foundation to ground it and to really explain to everyone what we're doing differently than anything that you've seen before.
So it gives everyone this real personal touch, this really personal feeling, which everybody already has. Everybody is extremely personal when it comes to not only their favorite Star Wars movies, but their characters, who they cosplay, who they watch, who they follow, who they grew up with. So what makes this really special is the ability to double your Star Wars. You can have the galaxy that you already have, and then you can take these bricks and reimagine and rebuild and turn it into something, twice as special. And so with Star Wars, it's about bringing community together. So to be able to find Darth Jar Jar in this brand new world reimagined was just super exciting and fun. Legos, and anything Lego, has the ability to bring some kind of a genuineness to the actual toys, to the actual bricks that people build. And the Lego bricks are more than just sets, right? They're really sculpture material. And what it does, it turns everyone who plays with Legos into a sculptor. And it allows everybody to express themselves and express themselves authentically. And when Star Wars comes in, you can actually feel like you are sculpting the universe. It was really, really fun. I've been with Jar Jar for a very long time, and it was good to play kind of an alternate reality version of Darth Jar Jar. I think he was a wonderful character to explore in this way. Rebuild the Galaxy, I love. I was a big fan of What If comics from Marvel as a kid, and I thought this was just really brilliant to reimagine what Star Wars could be through Legos, because Lego really is about bringing people together and bringing community together.
Because I'm a massive Lego fan. I'm a massive Star Wars fan, and this is just like I've been dryland training for this job my entire life, and I think hearing that they were doing this at a scope that they are with the people that they're doing with, and me being a part of it, and being able to have a real huge say in the room with creative decisions, thematic decisions, it's been an absolute dream come true. I think it's trying to play to kids, to fans, make sure there's lots of deep cuts in there so that kids will find it funny, but also have that sort of like the deep fans go, I know what you did there. Can't put this into words, but I'm going to try. But it's been insane working in this little vacuum of this really, really amazing project that we've fostered with such a collaborative group that like seeing everyone here, I think everyone's bursting at the seams. I think it's just this amazing energy, because I think what we've created is something really, really positive, and I think people are going to be really taken aback at how emotional and funny and just really like sincere Star Wars show we've made. This is amazing. It's so cool to be here. Oh, I think I jumped out of my chair and threw it across the room. Like I completely lost it.
It's like a whole set of energized Legos that are coming together tonight as we invert the universe from light to dark side in the Lego realm. It's very exciting. Well, the wonderful thing about this kind of a show is that you get Star Wars, but it's light and it's fun, and so everybody from the old ones on down to the younglings can enjoy, a Star Wars together. That's smart and energized and positive and fun.
But there's really something special about Star Wars and Lego, and those are like that was my whole childhood, and so to be doing it like now I'm pinching myself right now.
I think the scope of it, I think the returning cast, Mark Hamill, Ahmed Best, Kelly Marie Tran, Naomi Aki, Anthony Daniels, these are legends from all aspects of the the Skywalker saga, and to have them return, I think that adds something a little bit special to it. But I also think it's a little bit different because the story is bigger. We have a little bit more time to tell it. It's this 4-part special, so I think that you actually get to spend a little bit of time with these new characters and learn to fall in love with them and see where they fit into the greater Star Wars galaxy. It almost defies description, because it wasn't that long ago that Benji and I actually were here at El Capitan at the all-night marathon up until the release of The Force Awakens. And we were here as fans. We were here just as people that were hoping someday in our wildest imaginations to be able to make a Star Wars story, and here we are in a full circle moment here at El Capitan to actually be presenting our own Lego Star Wars adventure. It's my mind still can't process it.
It's a dream come true. This is what you dream of your whole life, and I mean, I've been playing with Star Wars Lego since I was a kid, and now I'm playing with it for my job, and it's wild. Over the course of our career, we've been very fortunate to play in a lot of different franchises and things that we love, that we grew up with.
It's amazing. It's great. I mean, especially now post-COVID when we all record separately, it's so good to get to see everybody in person. We're like, oh my God. Like it's like a summer camp reunion, except we never went to summer camp first. But we all get to join up now and celebrate, and I mean, you can't beat this. And it's Star Wars. Like, we get to be in a Star Wars project. Everybody's inner child is exploding with joy, and it's totally rebuilt. They took the concept of how kids don't follow the instructions with Legos, how they just build whatever they want to build. Like, well, what would happen if that happened in Star Wars, right? So, I mean, I think the first words out of their mouth in the pitch were Darth Jar Jar, and Disney was like, yes, we'll take it, yes, please, all day. So that pretty much sums it up. They're taking Star Wars, totally reimagining it, turning it on its head, but staying true to the IP, and I cannot wait to see it all come together.
We haven't seen the animation yet, so it's going to be really exciting to see it all put together.
It's always great to get the call for Lego, because you don't really know what to expect, and we've done a few specials. There's been a Christmas and a holiday and a summer vacation one, so it's always what's going to be next, and I love the idea of a mashup. So as soon as we started looking at that and seeing all the different characters that are going to be involved, because we're all cast at different times, and so a lot of my colleagues, we all work in Star Wars, so hey, are you in it? You in it? So it's always fun to hear that, and I don't know what everyone's going to be playing, so I know that my buddy Sam Witwer's here today, Piat is here today, and Shelby Young, and so we know some of the characters they play, so very excited to get the group back together again and to have this moment together and release it, to have people see it in the theater, which is exciting.
Yeah, I mean, when I read the script, I just was blown away by how original it was, and I was properly laughing out loud when I was reading it. So yeah, I'm excited for people to see that.
Oh, it's always so fun to see the final project, especially with an audience. I cannot wait to see that. I mean, It's been a long time coming, this show. We've been involved in several Lego projects, so it's always fun to see exactly how it's going to be portrayed on screen. And this one's such a mashup of all the different characters from the different legacies of Star Wars. And we both worked on a bunch of Star Wars, so it's fun to see it all totally mashed up in a new and an exciting way.
Yeah, definitely. It feels really, I don't know, it's a really great atmosphere. I think this one's particularly fun because we're seeing characters on the other side of the Force than you usually see them. So, for example, I voiced Rey in Lego Star Wars for a long time, and in this show I'm playing Darth Rey. So I'll let you figure out what that's going to be like. But yeah, it's so fun and irreverent. So I'm really excited to see it because we only see the bits that we're involved with. So, we only see the script.
And play with these beloved themes of John Williams. I feel like I'm a kid in a candy shop. It's like I'm doing something that I shouldn't. Yeah, I've been working on Lego Star Wars for almost 8 years now. But it's great to see it evolve into new directions. And I love that they were being more ambitious with it this time and trying to be more cinematic. Still keeping an eye on trying to bring in the new generation and introduce Star Wars to a younger crowd, but then also like these little Easter eggs for the adults too. So, we try to do that with the score as well, keep it balanced. Yeah, I just ran into a bunch of people I've never met physically. The nature of making movies and TV these days is so much of it is remote. So it's so great to see these people that I know and love and respect so much as creators in the flesh and get to hug them. Yeah, it's a lot of energy. It's good feeling. Yeah, what I love so much about Lego Star Wars in general is that I get to play. It never takes itself too seriously, and the score for me is just a chance to dabble. And
I am fortunate to play Jedi Master Yoda, so this is an exciting thrill for me because we get to see Yoda, but he's not, the Master Yoda that we all know. Oh my gosh, I'm so fortunate and so lucky to represent Master Yoda. And I've done him in several other projects, and for me to continue on and do more Yoda is the biggest blessing ever. So I feel that the Force is with me, and I feel very privileged to be here. I'm really lucky.
It's incredible. A lot of these people I've worked with for 15, 16 years at Lucasfilm. And I guess maybe that's part of the fun of it, is coming back and then saying, oh, we're going to do something different. Maul's going to be a sweet, cuddly sweetheart. And, I'm like, what do you mean, he wasn't? I always thought he was. And they're like, no, he's actually the villain, Sam. And I said, that's strange. They're like, you're a psychopath. And I'm like, okay, cool. And then they said, be a nice guy. I'm like, all right. So that's what it's like.
I was so thrilled to be able to work on this project. Oh my gosh, anytime I got to be in the booth with Bobby was the best. He's incredible, Jedi Bob. Working with Benji and Dan, honestly, just the entire process itself leading up to this moment right now is pretty darn cool. There are a lot of jokes for Star Wars nerds like myself that I think they are going to be really excited about. I am literally trying not to cry because I'm such a Disney fan and Star Wars fan, and having something premiere that I'm in at the El Capitan is just like a career dream of mine. So very happy, very excited. The energy is amazing. I was just like, wait, what is happening? What do you mean? The good guys are bad and the bad guys are good, and so many things are changed up and shook up, and I was cracking up at the script when I first read it.
Awesome. We're all extremely excited to be here. It's incredible. I think like we're the weird kids who made a weird thing, and everyone seems to be liking it, so we're like, yeah, let's run with it. I was beyond excited. I inadvertently knew Dan and Benji and their work, and then when they came to me, I was beyond honored and grateful. And then I read the script and I was like, oh, this is gonna be really fun. And then every day that I was able to go in and just read these lines and play and pretend I had the Force was understood the tone almost immediately once I read Darth Jar Jar. That's when I was like, I get it, this is great, I know exactly what they want, what they're going for. And after that, the rest was just collaborating with them and Chris Buckley, our director, who fearlessly took us all the way through it. I think they'll enjoy, and I'm excited for them to see all the different mashups and things like that. But more than anything, I think what'll be really, really fun is to see when they watch just a true classic Star Wars story kind of enveloped in this wacky, crazy world, and how it almost feels so wonderfully nostalgic to it all.